Yeah, the internet is giving a lot of trouble today.
It's still not connected, right?
Well, it is connected now, but I don't know for how long, you know?
Okay.
Let's see. All right.
Okay.
Eddie Frederick has got it all. Inspiration, motivation, great advice, and biting opinion pieces as only Eddie Frederick can deliver. Eddie Frederick has got it all.
If I take time and I write down all the things that I have on my mind, best believe my list gon' be like 5 miles long. Best believe it's love that makes me sing this song. The cleanest bridges on the waters. Friendly people meet in every corner. Togetherness and love is what we stand for. We stand for. We stand for.
Oh, iron in the sun. Look at how we've grown, how far we've run. 50 years we strong and more to come. More to come. More to come. We're going higher. 50 years we're blessed with motion fire. Still reaching for more. Going up, going up, going up, going up, going up, going higher. Going higher. As we aspire, build up ourselves, one people together. Bang, bang, bang. Slowly up.
Welcome to EDDIE-FICATION, made by the Center for Democracy and Good Governance, CDGG. The Center for Democracy and Good Governance is a sound organization established to promote and strengthen democracy. For too long now, our generally perceived poorly educated electorate have fallen victim to the cheap and inferior propaganda of those seeking to hold others captive under the guise of democracy. Gladly, the CDGG uses EDDIE-FICATION to help to actively pursue a sustainable approach to reorient our people towards the importance of electing and selecting people of good character to public life. Through EDDIE-FICATION, we will highlight the importance of education appropriate to our development, proper healthcare and facilities as our right, respect for law and order, not to mention upgrading our people's thinking so they could become qualified participants in the democratic process to their advantage. After all, Grenada's national constitution makes allowances for the ideal of free men to enjoy freedom from fear and want, which can be best achieved if conditions are created whereby everyone may enjoy his economic, social and political, civil and cultural rights.
I want the best for my family, So every meal has to be perfect. Every bite has to say, There's no doubt in my mind that the best in frozen meats and vegetables has to come from the Country Cold Store. Hams, turkeys, sausages, beef, pork, chicken. I just don't know my family is in safe hands. Thank you, Country Cold Store, for being there for us for the past 40 years.
It's available at Country Cold Stores, Mini Mart, while stocks last. Take advantage of these specials as they assist you to stretch your limited funds.
The Country Cold Store, providing the best in frozen meats and vegetables since 1969.
Attention all forward-thinking companies. Sure, you can do with a continuous positive boost to your image and impact your bottom line. Hiring the right people with the right attitude and mindset is where to start. Even if you did not get it right through your current hiring methods, we can help develop the right mindset for your current employees. If you think training is expensive, try not training, and you will experience a perpetual downward spiral in patronage on account of increased dissatisfied customers. Take things into your hands and engage the best at motivation and customer care training with a tried and tested track record. Visit www.efrederick.com now and learn how you can change the atmosphere in your business and improve the customer experience for everyone who does business with you. Spice Island Beach Resort and Belmont Estate are two such local entities of world renown that have benefited tremendously from ongoing customer care, social skills, and motivation training. Training changes everything for the better for any business and every team member. Enhance employee performance through increased awareness and passion for the job at hand. Greater potential in your workforce awaits you through engaged, high-energy training that works. Log on now, www.efrederick.com.
Eddie Frederick has got it all. Inspiration, motivation, great advice, and biting opinion pieces as only Eddie Frederick can deliver. Eddie Frederick has got it all.
As we say, folks, let me hurry up you here because I ain't able with this Down syndrome internet service we have in Grenada. It's really sad, you know, that we should really have this kind of poor service in Grenada. Be that as it may, every day above ground is a lovely day. We are still alive, we still can hear, we're still able to reconnect. So let's be thankful. So welcome to Edification 216 under the theme, Be Great and Humble. Pride is a diminisher. Humility adds to your greatness. Of course, our role has been disturbed, but be that as it may, come on, do what you did. I did what I had to do all over again. So do what you did all over again so that we can get the many people reconnected so they know that we're back on track. Goodly folks, all I can promise you here today is edification like you never experienced it on any of my programs before. As soon as you come into the room, as usual, share, comment, like, love, and let's just get interaction sort of going here today. Remember to tag your friends, and as we proceed during the entire program, and as you remember anyone that can do with this level of enlightenment, share with them, please. The number of new people who meet me, as I said earlier, in a few public places or spaces that I would traverse from time to time, and advise me that they have recently started tuning in is beyond encouraging, I dare say. The number of, people that I meet who would have a conversation with me regarding confessions now. Someone recently met me in a medical office and told me that it is such a pleasure to listen to my sharing these days. The accent is on these days because the truth is that person was not one to want to listen to me ever at all. I really appreciate this as it's coming from that person who confessed that there and then that because they were in a different mental space before, they used to hate my candor, my frankness, that is. They said the insistence of a friend to keep sharing caused them one day to go back and listen to one of the editions, and they've never stopped since. Folks, that is what we get for our consistency. So keep sharing, because look at how this person made a convert. So this is our 216th edition, of edification. And of course, the number 216 happens to be an angel number that all of us should love to appear in our lives. Our angels are letting us know that we have the power to achieve success in our lives, the very one that we have. And don't put yourselves down. Instead, continue to be ambitious. Remain open to accepting new opportunities, and this will lead us to our life purpose and soul mission. Our topic today again, be great and humble. Pride is a diminisher. Humility adds to your greatness. Be great and humble. Doesn't that remind us of our current Prime Minister, Deacon Mitchell? He is humble and great with it. Pride is a diminisher. Who does that one remind you of? Humility adds to your greatness. In raw Creole, where we turn these days, folks, we can see and feel ego. And ego is false pride, really. Humility is so rare that people mix it up with stupidity when they see it. The word humility comes from the Latin word humus, which means fertile ground. H-U-M-U-S. Fertile ground, folks. Humility is from source. That is why we need to be grounded. Humility is a situation on the earth. The earth is always there, always taken for granted, never remembered, always trodden on by everyone. Somewhere we cast and even pour out all our refuse, all we don't want. That's the earth. But the earth never rejected us yet. It just keeps taking a licking and a beating from us. That is humility, folks. In a recent lecture or sermon by Joshua Salmon, because you can see that I follow him, he was able to confirm that it is a powerful thing to be great and humble. Being great and humble makes a person more marketable and delightful. People will always like to be in your cause. Humility adds a garnish to your skills and abilities, and thus, of course, your greatness. Pride and ego reduce the value of anyone and anything. The potency of blessings will be drastically reduced by pride and ego. A gifted person who is arrogant, their impact will be reduced by pride and ego. Pride and ego are both diminishers at any level. So if you want to see exaltation in your life, let humility become a code, a creed, a covenant that governs your every move. So let's get the ball rolling here today. Get ready to participate and learn. You remember what they say? Blessed are the humble, for they shall be exalted. But the exalted shall be humbled. And of course, we know the little old nastiness exalted himself for all these years. He's been humbled. But look at the little humble guy who has been exalted instead. So no matter who we are, how much we know, we are not always right, folks. Even when we are not right, it does not mean we are wrong. It may simply mean there is something we cannot see, we do not fully understand, or have not taken into consideration. When we hold on to the need to always be right, we close ourselves off to the energy of divine mind, which is always at work in and through other people. When we allow our rightness to cut others off, we limit the new information divine mind offers us. Very often, we look at what people do or how they look and determine we know or are more than they are. We have to stop that. In other words, past experiences, what we know or have heard about a person entices us to judge them, or ability and or knowledge. In a universe where we are all connected to the same life force, judging is not the right or the righteous thing to do. You may be right about what you feel, and still this does not make the other person wrong. They may have done a wrong thing, but it does not contribute to making you right because they're wrong. Right and wrong are judgments we make in response to our own perceptions. The need to always be right or to prove your rightness to and above others is the reflection of the self-perception that somehow, somewhere, you are not so right. You see, folks, there are times when you want to make a mark on the world. You may want to make a statement. You may want to make a name for yourself even. Nothing is wrong with any of those. You may believe that the best way to make this happen is to take a big project and refuse to let people support, assist, or even help you. You want to do it all by yourself because you have something to prove. But beneath that rationale is the truth that you want to get all the credit. That's why some of you just end up puffed. You're puffed because you want everything, you're greedy. There is nothing wrong with having a desire to be recognized or rewarded. What you probably don't want is the confusion and stress being in charge and in control can cause you. The mark of a good leader is the ability to delegate and share responsibilities. A good leader knows how to allow other people to do the work. A true leader is surrounded by good people who share the vision, the work, must believe in what they are doing. Your job is to find these people and hire them. A leader can step out of the way, let the workers work, and know in the end, the leader gets the credit. What a good leader does when he or she gets the credit is give it away. A true leader is humble and willing to serve because a leader knows the best way to make a name for himself is to create it within others. The world already knows that a good leader stands behind, not on top of those who do the work and intercept everything they do, reminding them always that if it were not for me, you would not be where you are. You know, the old nastiness was like that with all the sycophants and all gang members that he was leading. You must never be stupid enough to say, listen to me, folks, or smart enough to admit that you know what someone else is talking about. The moment you do so, your learning stops. The ego encourages you to constantly prove yourself and what you already know. When you are in the presence of someone you feel the need to impress, the ego's automatic response is, I know. When you are in the presence of someone your ego thinks is smarter, richer, more experienced than you, your ego tells you, I know what they're thinking about me. When you are in the presence of someone your ego believes is not as smart, rich, or even experienced as you, I know is the way to cut them off. So the moment you say or you hear anyone say, I know, you or they are demonstrating that you or they don't know. You can learn something valuable from everyone in every situation. So folks, I want you to join me today and affirm, I am open and willing to learn. Come on, let me see you put that in the comment section. Let's interact today. I am open and willing to learn. I am open and willing to learn. Let's interact. Come on. So be great and humble. Pride is a diminisher. Humility adds to your greatness. Let's take a little break and we'll come back. But in the meantime, I want you to interact with me. I am open and willing to learn. Let me hear you affirm that today, please. Right now.
Eddie Frederick has got it all. Inspiration, motivation, great advice, and biting opinion pieces as only Eddie Frederick can deliver. Eddie Frederick has got it all.
If I take time and I write down all the things that I love on my island, best believe my list gon' be like 5 miles long. Best believe it's love that makes me sing this song. The cleanest breeze on the waters, friendly people meet in every corner. Together
Inspire, build up us, put people together. Make change, only up.
Welcome to EDDIE-FICATION, made possible by the efforts of the Center for Democracy and Good Governance, CDGG. The Center for Democracy and Good Governance is a sound organization established to promote and strengthen democracy. For too long now, or generally perceived poorly educated.
Okay, folks, we've had that before, so obviously I pressed the wrong one, but that's all right. We have a little confusion going on here today. But every mistake, we'll take it in and make fish cake with it. What do you think? So welcome back, and for those of you just joining, I want to welcome you. Those of you who are joining for the first time, welcome also. Just continue to share. Folks, as we proceed along, basing our thoughts on our topic for today, on the power of humility, we want to be very careful not to be too overly proud in the process of our lives. You see, when you're proud of yourself, you show it, you feel it, and you know it. It shines in your eyes, the way you speak and the way you carry your very being. You are proud because you could and you did. You can and you will. You cannot, but you know it, and it is still okay. When you are proud, you do, give, and share, rather than take, talk, and promise. Pride is peaceful service, joy-filled sharing, inner knowing that there is more to come. Pride does not argue to be right, push to get ahead, step over others to get there and forget them once it does. Pride is gentle, calm, and balanced. Pride is not boastful, frightened, or hurried. Pride is pleasant. Pride is grateful. Pride is peaceful, patient, and poised. Pride is also secure. But folks, if you think pride done, pride is mastery. Most of all, pride is silent. You see, the pride we know today is ego, rubbish. But pride, when I was growing up and my poor mother was telling her 5 children, make me proud now. It is not make her an egotist. No. Make her feel good. Make her feel confident that what she has poured into us so far was so good that we turn out to be good. But the pride we're talking about that is a deadly sin is the false pride that we see all over Grenada today, where it is guided by the need to acquire things, the need to show off what we have. We have a lot of people in Grenada sporting $2,000-$3,000 phones in their pocket, and they have outhouse for toilet. They don't even have a good upright in their house to hold a light if they get electricity. But they have $6,000 worth of phone in their pocket. They don't even have running water in their house. But you know, as our governor of the ECCB said earlier on this year in one of his lectures, he said in no uncertain terms, people in the member countries of the ECCU, many of them take their little kakada, their little money that they're earning, which is really and truly barely enough to take care of their needs. But they're in every fete. They boast about being in VVIP, VIP. And then they're on radio early in the morning, or we hear them here all the time, begging the government as if the government is a government now that take them and make the 6 children there, begging them for books, begging them for clothes, begging them for... Those are their needs, you know. But they take their little kakada and they spend it on their wants. My dear, Rudy, it's Kathy, that's it, Kathy, sorry. Their priority is not backwards. No, they have none. They have no concept of priorities. But when they see you now, you have 2 pens in your pocket. Hey, give me that extra pen now. You see? Entitlement. The 2 pen is yours. None extra. But they want one because they just want to share. There's a lot of takers in our society today, parasites that have been developed by the old nastiness over the years. But folks, in the midst of a valley experience, You may be tempted to look at all the things that you can't do and the list of reasons why. The human ego also encourages us to hold on to our limitations. It always seems easier to look at what is wrong rather than stretch to what could possibly be just fine. If we would see things as perfectly fine, just the way they are, no matter what they are, we might realize we are fine too. For some of us, this is a far stretch, but that's fine. And so are we. If you are alive, that's fine. If you have a vision for tomorrow, that's fine. People may be pressuring you or upset with you. Hey, that's fine. You may be upset, afraid, angry, or anxious. Hey, that's fine too. You will get over it. If you can remember a time, any time, when you were in a fix, a jam, a place in your life you did not want to be, or you did not think you deserved to be, that's fine. Now, can you remember that you're not where you were anymore? Or you made it through somehow. Haven't you always gotten what you needed eventually? And when you didn't, you made it through anyway. Perhaps things did not work out the way that you wanted, but they are turning out anyway. Most important of all, they are turning out to be just fine. So what's the difference between pride and humility? Folks, a prideful person, however, hasn't taken the time to truly know themselves. The pride in them makes them want to be someone else and blame others when weaknesses appear. Humble people are responsive to their people, to themselves and others, asking what they can do to improve and respecting others by default. Haven't I just described for you our current Prime Minister, the decent Mitchell? Not the old nastiness, the decent Mitchell, whose very humility causes you to redefine power? This man has the same level of powers that his predecessor, the old nastiness, had. And yet for all, his upbringing does not allow him to behave in the same bombastic manner as that characterless old nastiness. You see, when people suffer from never thought, they tend to be always surprised that they enjoy what they enjoy today. And instead of just going with the flow and suiting their current times, they allow how they were to govern how they think today, even if their circumstances are not the same as they used to be. So what happened there? They gravitate to limitation of origin. That's all it is. People like that, with an accumulation of ill-gotten gains, are destined to show all of us that ill-gotten gains never last and they never enjoy them. What does Scripture say about humility and pride? God hates pride. Proverbs 11:2. When pride comes, then comes disgrace, but with humility comes wisdom. Proverbs 16:5. The Lord detests all the proud of heart. Be sure of this, they will not go unpunished. Proverbs 16:18. Pride goes before destruction, a haughty spirit before a fall. Oh, to the pride of the old nastiness. What is the biblical definition of pride, folks? In the theological sense, pride is defined as an excessive love of one's own excellence. As a deadly sin, pride is believed to generate other sins and further immoral behavior, and is countered by the heavenly virtue of humility. Can you be both humble and prideful? I don't think you have to choose humility over pride or pride over humility. You need both. The challenge lies in striking a balance that allows you to understand your power, accept your power, and have the courage to use your power. You see, is pride the absence of humility? Pride puts itself first. It sacrifices others to self, to the self. Pride prevents reason because the proud refuses to see what they don't want to see. They explain it away, often through a descent into cynicism. But why is humility so powerful? Being humble allows one to rationally acknowledge ways they can improve themselves. Humility can produce more happiness, positive emotions, and well-being because a person has a clearer understanding of the self. So how can I be humble and not prideful? Here are two ways to be proud of yourself in a humble way. Delight, not pride. When you accomplish something and feel really good about it, that isn't pride, it is delight. Thankful, not entitled. The thing that keeps you humble when you feel good about something that you've done is thankfulness. Thankfulness. So for us to be healthy, pride must be balanced with humility. The recognition that our abilities are gifts and that other people are as gifted or more gifted than we are. Other people can also be more accomplished than we are, and our own accomplishments are usually not ours alone. Pride brings a person low, but the lowly in spirit gain honor. Humility is just as much the opposite of self-abasement as it is of self-exaltation. To be humble is not to make comparisons. Secure in its reality, the self is neither better nor worse, bigger nor smaller than anything else in the universe. Those who lack humility often display an unwarranted level of confidence. Arrogance, in other words. They may believe they are always right. They dismiss feedback or constructive criticism, or have an inflated sense of their skills and abilities. This overconfidence can be difficult to spot, as it can sometimes be mistaken for expertise. Be careful, folks. Pay attention. The dictionary says that pride is a feeling of deep pleasure or satisfaction derived from one's own achievements. Humility, on the other hand, is defined as the quality of having a modest or low view of one's importance. A friend asked a question on Facebook saying, why do so many people discard humble and egoless people? If something triggers me to the point that I have to spend some time analyzing what comes up for me, I will generally write a piece to clarify it for myself in my own mind, and perhaps someone else will find value in my analysis as well. I'm not going to discuss anything about the ego or egolessness in this sharing today, other than brief mention, because that surely warrants a whole discussion all by itself, because the ego is another story altogether. What I do want to look at, though, is when is one man's pride another man's arrogance? And when is one man's humility another man's victimhood? It is absolutely essential to know that humility and pride is just another yin-yang, and the one is because the other is. Let's look at the hypothetical example. I am very proud that I have written a book, and at the same time, I am humbled that people will take their precious time to read it. From my perspective, both of those emotions or experiences are valid, and both are worthy. The story is told of this author who said shortly after his first book was published, she proudly announced it on Facebook. A comment received was, "Don't think you're God because you've published one book." In this specific instance, the person who made that comment could be considered humble, but in my estimation was rather lacking in self-esteem, and therefore when somebody lacks self-esteem, knowledge of who they are, they could project their insecurity on those who are proud, and may interpret pride as arrogance, which in this instance was simply not true. Projection of our own insecurities onto a specific situation is often cause of discomfort for us. Humility is, on the other hand, in its positive sense, is quite an admirable quality, yet may be interpreted by some as a lack of self-esteem or someone who could be a victim of the situation or circumstance. It also therefore depends on the individual who's actually feeling either humble or proud. What happens is when we have a need for validation, and that need is external to ourselves, others may interpret our humility or pride based on their value system, their self-esteem, their morals, and their ethics. In that moment, depending on the consciousness of the person doing the evaluation, that is, our pride or humility may be interpreted as either arrogant or being a victim. Therefore, if we are in fact affected by the judgment or projection of others, it is indeed our ego that is offended. You see, the whole self, or rather the self that is whole, will not be adversely affected by people interpreting either our pride or our humility as anything other than what it actually is for ourselves. Therefore, humility is not a state of egolessness. It is a state of consciousness in that moment. So, if humility and pride are two sides of the same coin, when one feels either, it is still a state of the ego. To judge it as anything other than that is certainly egoic in any event. You see, when we begin to realize that ego plays a part in being human, and that ego is that part of us that will love or fear, judge or approve, be kind or unkind, be humble or proud, then we will begin to understand the function of ego is to bring us to the point where we can choose again to be in the positive aspect of our ego or not. You see, for me, ego is an intrinsic part of my humanity. I am aware that many spiritual teachers tell us to annihilate the ego, but it is my very ego that wants me to be a better human today than I was yesterday. My spiritual self has no desire for anything but to be more or less, higher or lower, hotter or colder, kinder or aggressive. My spiritual self simply is. In that respect, it is the ego that requires the ego is lost. The ego requires that the ego is lost. Folks, it is our own consciousness that makes us feel humble or proud. And there is a very fine line between humility and victimhood, or pride and arrogance. We should be careful that we don't project our opinion about what is pride and what is arrogance onto a situation that we don't fully understand. Remember, one man's pride is another man's arrogance, and one man's humility is another man's victimhood. It simply all depends on the situation and the consciousness of the individual itself. So be great and humble. Pride is a diminisher. Humility adds to your greatness. Let's take a little break and we'll come right back with some more.
Eddie Frederick has got it all. Inspiration, motivation, great advice, and biting opinion pieces as only Eddie Frederick can deliver. Eddie Frederick has got it all.
This is EDDIE-FICATION, made possible by the efforts of the Center for Democracy and Good Governance, CDGG. The strength of views and opinions expressed during EDDIE-FICATION are not necessarily a reflection or representation of the sponsors and/or affiliates of this program.
I want the best for my family, so every meal has to be perfect. Every bite has to say, There's no doubt in my mind that the best in frozen meats and vegetables has to come from the country cold store. Hams, turkeys, sausages, beef, pork, chicken. I just don't know my family is in safe hands. Thank you, country cold store, for being there for us for the past 40 years.
There are some interesting specials available at Country Cold Stores Mini Mart while stocks last. Take advantage of these specials as they assist you to stretch your limited funds.
The Country Cold Store, providing the best in frozen meats and vegetables since 1969.
If I take time and I write down all the things that I love on my island, best believe my list gon' be like 5 miles long. Best believe it's love that makes me sing this song. The cleanest beers on the waters, friendly people meet in every corner. Togetherness and love is what we stand for. We stand for. Stand for.
Oh, island in the sun. Look at how we've grown, how far we've run. 50 years we strong and more to come. More to come. More to come. Going higher. 50 years we're blessed with motion fire. Still reaching for more. Going up, up, and more. Going up, 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 ever higher. Going higher. As we aspire, build up ourselves, put people together.
Eddie Frederick has got it all. Inspiration, motivation, great advice, and biting opinion pieces as only Eddie Frederick can deliver. Eddie Frederick has got it all.
Wonderful, wonderful, folks, and welcome back. You see, while thumbing through an article I found online captioned, Humble Leadership, yes, and Humility Can Restore Trust. An essay by Bill Haslam, Salmons Enterprises Fellow at the Bush Institute and former governor of Tennessee in the United States. I found it necessary to recreate my own adaptation of it to fit into our topic for today. Be great and humble. Pride is a diminisher. Humility adds to your greatness. Folks, as Grenadians continue to divide themselves into two fundamentally different parties, humble leaders who can admit faults are key to uniting our nation and restoring trust in our government once more. After all, the length of time one kakistocratic leader, the worst kind that is, of the most inferior political organization was allowed to grope the corridors of power in and over this nation. That lengthy period was more than sufficient to impose his evil philosophy to immobilize quite a large swath of our people into a state of helplessness almost, where up to now they can't see their way out of poverty, just to be permanently placed on his vote farm to constantly vote for him and his gang of crooks, while they all descended further into that helpless state of abject poverty. It has been said that those who choose to seek the high road of humility in politics will never run into a traffic jam. There is more than a little truth in that statement. We have all witnessed that politics became a game for people who wanted to be in show business, but didn't have the looks or other faculties that once were necessary for leaders of people. There's more than a little truth to that also, because we know that certain people didn't have the looks, nor the faculties. Ugly as all hell, teething as all hell. That's not a faculty. But they made it because the people stopped paying attention. Politics undoubtedly attracts more than its fair share of oversized egos. Imagine they already have no looks, no character, therefore no decency and integrity. No sound education either. That Aristotelian type, which is ability to constantly associate themselves with right things and right itself. Some of that is due to the lack of a proper filtering process of being a candidate. After all, it takes a certain amount of confidence to run for office. You open yourself to the comments and critiques of anyone who cares to weigh in. But guess what? The characterlessness of today's individuals cause them to focus more on the benefits through the deals they can wing in their direction while in power, and to hell with the nation and its affairs. You see, whenever they start to benefit, they don't usually give a damn about who put in the public domain about them. They don't care. You could stay there with your hungry self and say what you want. My belly full and I getting rich. That's how they behaved. So if you're really unlucky, you will also have an opponent who chooses to spend a lot of money on television to let everyone know that you are too liberal, too conservative, too crooked, too much of a puppet, too inexperienced, and that you hate children, old people, and the poor and vulnerable. Doesn't that sound familiar, folks? Like being a well-positioned or appointed player on the sports team, or an actor on Broadway. Being in political office requires having the confidence, even without the character and integrity, to perform as if you're working for the people in front of a national audience, even if you know you are not sincere, while many of whom are hoping you will fail. Interestingly, the latter becoming so disillusioned that they have stopped voting, and so you continue to prevail with the support of many and all of those you provided scraps off your table of gluttony on a regular basis while you live high off the hog. Of course, the National Nasty Party has been all about that under the current construct of its leadership of a man known to have absolutely no scruples, a total kakistocrat, the lowest kind. You see, the process of running for office has been promoted to mean that these lumpen politicians on both sides of the political aisle are saying individually, I am the one who can solve all the problems. Once elected, the temptations towards pride only increase. After elections between 1995 and 2022, for the most part, we must recall that the speeches of the old nastiness got emptier and his lies got more brazen and increased. His sense of self-importance swelled as the list of foolish, subservient people who want to meet with him grew and grew. You move to a big house behind the gate and police starts driving you, this old thief. When you are introduced to make a speech, the whole room rises as one to applaud, only to find absolutely no wisdom follows in the foolishness. Just old talk laced with lies and mama guy and a lot of in-style pronunciations. Every one of you, that is what the old nastiness was best known for. Old talk and lies. As you might imagine, it is easy to start thinking you are a big deal when you keep getting treated like you are a big deal, instead of a big fool or a big thief that you cannot be separated from, because that is all you are. You see, whether you are on a council or you are a prime minister, president of a country, being in elected office means being treated special. From there, the walk from being treated special to thinking you are special turns only to be a few steps short. You see, more problematic than thinking you are special is the next short step of thinking you are always right. and that you can push anything down the people's throat and they must be accepted without question. Most office seekers, or not, come into the public square because they have convictions about the answers to certain problems. Perhaps it is the desire to provide better health care or equal access to quality education. Maybe we are driven by our perception of the deteriorating culture of the country, or a fear about the warming planet, or a growing budget deficit. Whatever it is, we start off making people believe we are concerned about these things, with very few, of course, being genuinely concerned. You see, the issues that drive us and the passion of our convictions are the fuel that actually push us to try to solve problems. We think we have the answer, or we would not be there. The passion to be a part of the solution is at the heart of all the good reasons we stepped forward in the first place. Passion combined with humility provides great soil for a fruitful entry into the public square. On the other hand, the misplaced passion of the old nastiness led to the inevitable crash onto the public square in harmful ways, as we have seen here in Grenada on 23rd June 2022. More specifically, to return totally to the governor's thoughts, he said, "When my children were growing up, I spent a lot of time coaching their various sports teams. I always have loved sports and enjoyed hanging around my kids and their friends, so it was a good fit. I did learn something about adults from watching kids' sports. It brings out the worst in us. Normally, mature adults grow red-faced at an umpire's mistake in a ball game, where an inning is not over until everyone bats. I was guilty of that a few times myself. You see, politics is the same way. Passion becomes inflamed in what started as a casual discussion with friends or neighbors. Because we know we have the right answer, it is frustrating that others cannot see it our way. And like overzealous parents watching a ball game, it often brings out the worst in us. My first job in politics was serving as an intern in Senator Howard Baker's office in Washington. I was a college student who was pretty sure I was coming to Washington to help save the Republic. Instead, my job looked more like answering constituents' letters in those pre-email days and taking messages to the chief of staff in those pre-cell phone days. While my role was not quite what I envisioned, on my drive to Tennessee to DC, from Tennessee, to DC, I learned a lifetime of lessons about political service from Senator Baker. But what I most remember was his admonition to always remember the other fella might be right. This is not an argument to always find the middle spot, to find a compromise position that allows you to move on from that sticky problem that you may be faced with. No. If we do not hold certain convictions, things we know to be true or right, regardless of circumstance, there is no reason to be engaged in public policy. We do not need any more elected officials that do not have any convictions beyond getting re-elected. Or we saw that here. Pack the people on the vote farm, keep them dunce, stupid, poor and vulnerable. Get them scraps off the table and they will be NNP to the bone. You get the message? That was the conviction of the old nastiness. And that is why we have so many impoverished people to the point of hopeless just to be placed on a vote farm to keep electing their captors time and time again. Folks, this man should be really taken to the market and flogged every week, for turning such a large swath of our people into this kind of dunce abjectly dunce with very little hope, because they feel how they live is normal, and how they live, that's how they should be living. This man debilitated these people, you know, make them feel how they live, that is correct, you know. And if even they're not physically on a vote farm, they're mentally on it. Folks, something has got to be done, you know. Instead, it is an argument for remembering why we came into the public square. We are there because we think good government matters for the quality of life in our communities and in our country. But look, the rookie just came in, and in 22 short months has achieved more benefits for the people of the country than this old nastiness and his brigands, gang of crooks, from 1995 to 2022 for the most part. That has to be a travesty. Some sports people celebrate scoring a goal for the first time like they just won the finals. Business leaders write books about themselves and their remarkable achievements, even though many of them acquired their fortunes through dishonesty and proceed dishonestly all the way. Pride and protecting one's pride are, however, very much in fashion. All of us want to be right in every argument and look good in every situation. Great leaders have always had the ability to recognize that they don't always get it right. It is only the poor, uninspiring leaders who are mortally afraid of being out of power that fear others' opinions of them may cause them to end in a status-starved situation like we see the old nastiness is in today. Folks, prior to our invasion of Normandy, then General Dwight Eisenhower wrote a letter that thankfully he never had to send. He had prepared a memo in case the momentous D-Day landing failed. Quote, "Our landings have failed, and I have withdrawn the troops. My decision to attack at this time and place was based on the best information available. The troops, the air, and the navy did all that bravery and devotion could do. If any blame or fault attaches to the attempt, it is mine alone." Unquote. Most of us would have too much pride to write that letter. We would begin to find a way to spin the story in a way that would protect our pride and reputation. Oh God, the old nastiness was good for that. Think how exceedingly rare it is for a leader today to say, "I am sorry. I did not get that one right." And think how much better served we are by leaders who have the humility to want to get the best answer, not just their own answer. Have you ever heard an apology from that old nastiness who announced to this nation that we have found significant quantities of oil offshore, which turned out to be totally false? Not a mistake or that he misspoke. He just lied. What was the rationale for so doing? To win the 2018 general elections at all cost. So as I said earlier, this is adapted from Governor Haslam's new book, Faithful Presence, The Promise and the Peril of Faith in the Public Square. Be great and humble, just like our current Prime Minister, the decent Deacon Mitchell. Pride is a diminisher. Ask the old nastiness who has been totally diminished. Humility adds to your greatness. Ask our current Prime Minister, Deacon Mitchell. Humility continues to add to his greatness. Let's take a break here and we come back for the final segment.
30th.
Eddie Frederick has got it all. Inspiration, motivation, great advice, and biting opinion pieces as only Eddie Frederick can deliver. Eddie Frederick has got it all.
This is EDDIE-FICATION, made possible by the efforts of the Center for Democracy and Good Governance, CDGG. The strength of views and opinions expressed during EDDIE-FICATION are not necessarily a reflection or representation of the sponsors and/or affiliates of this program.
I want the best for my family, so every meal has to be perfect. Every bite has to say, There's no doubt in my mind that the best in frozen meats and vegetables has to come from the country cold store. Hams, turkeys, sausages, beef, pork, chicken. I just don't know my family is in safe hands. Thank you, country cold store, for being there for us for the past 40 years.
There are some interesting specials available at Country Cold Store's Mini Mart while stocks last. Take advantage of these specials as they assist you to stretch your limited funds.
The Country Cold Store, providing the best in frozen meats and vegetables since 1969.
If I take time and I write down all the things that I love on my island, best believe my list gon' be like 5 miles long. Best believe it's love that makes me sing this song. The cleanest breeze on the waters, friendly people meet in every corner.
All right, folks, lovely. So we move right along here, moving right along. Just set this up.
Eddie.
Wonderful. Now, welcome back. We're into our final segment here. Of course, we had a little snarl at the beginning with internet, same as last week, but a little worse this week because we got totally disconnected. Folks, I like to close today by sharing excerpts of a book entitled 10 Practical Lessons from Attitude, Vision, Change, Learning, Fair, and Boldness by Adam Ashton and Adam Jones. 1. Vision. Define your destination and chart your course so you end up where you truly want to be, you truly deserve to be. This involves setting clear goals and creating a roadmap for personal and professional growth. The second one is change. Embrace change as an inevitable part of your journey to personal growth and success. This lesson likely focuses on adapting to change, being open to new opportunities, and leveraging change for personal development. The third one is learning. Adopt an intentional approach to learning, folks, empowering you to acquire new skills and conquer challenges. This lesson may emphasize the importance of continuous learning, skill development, and a growth mindset. Fair. Reframe fair as a catalyst, something to speed you up for progress, pushing you forward instead of holding you back. Folks, remember, I always tell you should choose your fair. Either you forget everything and run, or you face everything and rise. This lesson likely provides new ways to reframe fear into something that will help propel you forward rather than hold you back. The fifth area is boldness. Embrace a mindset of boldness, demonstrating confidence and taking action to pursue your goals. This lesson may encourage readers to cultivate a sense of courage, determination, and assertiveness in their endeavors. 6. Practical wisdom. The book offers practical wisdom from some of the greatest minds on attitude, distilling their insights into actionable lessons. This likely involves translating theoretical concepts into practical strategies for personal development and growth. The seventh area is embracing positivity, encouraging readers to adopt a positive and bold attitude towards life, promoting a mindset of optimism, resilience, and proactive engagement with life's challenges. The eighth area is reflection rather than analysis. The book compels readers to reflect on their chosen paths in life, encouraging introspection and thoughtful analysis of personal and professional decisions. 9. Overcoming mediocrity, which is something that a lot of us reside in. We love mediocrity. Oh God, all that far. You know, that's how we talk, because we like it just as it is, instead of stretching ourselves to do things better. This area, overcoming mediocrity, provides guidance on overcoming this just fair to middling and embracing a kick-ass new attitude, likely promoting a mindset of excellence, ambition, and proactive self-improvement. And 10, empowerment and action. The book likely empowers readers to take action, make positive changes, and develop a mindset that propels them towards personal and professional success. Folks, when one reads books like this one must have a totally different mental attitude that would always benefit his or her life. I advise you to try it. But just as a sidebar here, as we get ready to close, I feel compelled to tell you that I never like anything free. My close friends, very close friends, who can be considered loyal brothers and sisters, can tell you that I prefer to always pay for stuff that will become mine. Because they know this, they are loath to offering me stuff without being absolutely clear that they are gifts and they come to the table with the correct energy, so I can discern the entire act is well-meaning. Interestingly, the right energy is always present because we are just tight, really, really tight. I am a very polarizing character. I swing passion on either side of the pendulum. No middle ground. It is either you like me or you don't. Of course, you know what they say when it comes to whether you like me or not. At the end of the day, that is mind over matter. I don't mind, and none of the people that like me or don't like me really matter. I don't care. And now that I'm getting older and reaching this age of maturity, hey folks, filters are off. When you come in, as I tell all you, come good or don't come at all. Because I start off being very polite, I set lovely tones, and all I'm asking is for that in return. You go off key? Oh man, off key I'm the president of off key. You see, no distraction can take me off my focus. I am very focused. I learned a long time now that a focused man is a powerful man. And I dare to stay focused. My daughter and adopted son are always echoing the sentiment that they admire the synergy and plain old good energy that exists among my friends and I. Monkey see, monkey do. And I can say the same of them. I love their friends and admire their associations at each stage. Like me, they have very few, but meaningful friends. Yet, they are good with everyone else while enforcing their boundaries. I always go through great lengths, folks, to be civil with everyone I meet in my daily walk. In fact, I believe if we want respect, we must first give it. And so that is my guiding principle. You set the tone first of respect, you must get it back. Most people we encounter today are not wanted to be polite and courteous at all. This is far removed from the culture we were exposed to while we were growing up back in the day. Where have we lost it? From the time we started to compete with each other for material gains, we seem to think we lose time when we are being courteous. And so we use that time that we should be courteous to acquire stuff. We don't want to waste time in accumulating material stuff. On the issue of free things, no one can ever imagine me going into government to feather my nest. My life is governed by the principle that at the end of the day, all the property that we are going with or going to own or end up with is occupying the size of a grave, 6 feet deep, 4 feet wide, 7 feet long. My friend of many years corrected me and told me that it is not 4 by 6 by 10, because that would be wasting space. A whole 3-foot eddy? He said, no, man. It is 4 by 6 by 7. Yet for all, while we are alive, we make so much confusion and mawet for land and property as if we can go with them when our number is called. We know people around the old nastiness who agreed to overpay contractors and other folks hired to do a job for the state in the thousands, just so they can provide valuable kickbacks to them personally and start massive construction projects in well-to-do neighborhoods, by our standards, of course. Of course, these things dry up now and are a source of contention for the would-be recipients, as there is no hope of finishing them because the money was never coming from their pockets in the first place. There is one that we all know of and can see if we visit Egmont right now. Project stalled since election. It is reported that not a stroke of work has gone on there since, as the contractor was either severed or the loose manner in which the contractor was arranged has offered the new administration an easy way out. You see, the nation just celebrated its 2nd May Day since the new administration came into office, with not much acrimony and negative tension. You know, of course, we had the usual nonsense here and there from leaders who are hardly able to lift their level. But aside from that, nothing much to report. What a relief when compared to the sellout effect the previous years had on the nation's workers, whose union operatives, for the most part, were perceived, for good reason, to have been bought out by the old nastiness while their members struggled to no end. The current administration was promoted as an administration that would be anti-worker. You all remember that? Because the principal, being the successful corporate lawyer in the person of now Prime Minister Deacon Mitchell, has been a lawyer that employers used mostly to represent them against the arbitrariness of our unions that have been known to use employees to behave in a stuck-in-time manner to promote imaginary workers' struggle just so that they can survive. I did not listen to any of the deliveries of union leaders on May Day, as there is nothing new on offer. Everybody knows there is no contention at present, since the same administration that was promoted as anti-worker, if that person, leader of the NDC, became Prime Minister, and this government is led by the same successful corporate lawyer who seriously wounded unions in court time and time again while representing employers against their arbitrary behavior. Now that he is Prime Minister, has brought so many benefits to the same workers that they are showing signs of fear that they are about to be made either irrelevant or redundant and of no use. We can hear the sound of shouts of survival. And if all of us pay attention, we can see that if the government continues on this path and members of the private sector take their cue from the government, members of unions would soon realize that they are paying membership dues, hello, listen to me, for nothing. They're wasting that additional $25 or $40, I don't know how much it's paid, but you're wasting that money when you could save it. I was heartened to see a flyer put out by the party arm of the government, which itemized the following as achievements in 22 short months after the June 22 elections. New national minimum wage. After over a decade, we have successfully implemented a new national minimum wage, ensuring fair compensation for the labor that fuels our economy. Pensions. We delivered on our promise to pay pensions after 40 years of its suspension and procrastination by the previous administration from 1995 to 2022 for the most part. Bi-monthly salary payments. Public servants can now rely on regular bi-monthly salary payments, providing them with greater control, financial stability, and peace of mind. Something that the last administration under the old nastiness, who in his own voice stated was impossible to do. Healthcare professionals' salaries increased. We've boosted the salaries of doctors and nurses, acknowledging their tireless efforts in safeguarding the health of our nation, an issue that has infuriated certain union leaders, as if the government as an employer needed to consult with them before raising the salaries of its employees. This is a sure sign of the union's fear of its own irrelevance when the country's main employers can take such initiative with nothing warranting the unions concerned to receive any percentage thereof, as they had no work to do in order that their members receive any wage increase. Regularization of public workers. With under 2 years in office, we have commenced the program of regularization of public workers, ensuring equitable treatment and job security for all. Folks, the process is ongoing, and no death knell shouts from any union will cause the government to make any careless decisions. It has to take its course. This thing must be properly thought out, because you have to make sure that you need all of the people you will be regularizing. The old nastiness is not there anymore to have hangers-on, enablers, and just parasites sucking off the nation's treasury. No. Those are my words. It has to be carefully done. Who need to be paid off, pay them off, let them go. Go and tie somewhere else. Or if you really are NNP to the bone, go on the vote farm. Let the owner, the shepherd, let the shepherd of the farm feed you. Because among you so dotish, it ain't funny. So regularization of the public workers will be systematically done. And no union go hurry up, no government to just carte blanche. Where were you? Balling with your mouth closed when the old nastiness was in office, because many of you were in his pockets. Salary increases and fringe benefits. Recognizing the dedication of our public servants, we have granted significant salary increases and fringe benefits, ensuring that their contributions are duly valued. Hello, hello. Well, the government should have had their own May Day celebrations based on all these achievements. When one's agenda is honorable and pinned to bringing the reality, the promises made during the campaign, it is truly gratifying to see what humility in a leader can help him and his team accomplish in such a short space of time. You see, government is about bringing benefits to the entire nation, helping each national to secure a better standard of living and quality of life, and not concentrating on a certain few. Government is about providing improved education, improved healthcare, and other socioeconomic benefits to all of the people, so they are removed from their impoverished state, where they can qualify to be either placed on or remain on a vote farm of a wicked and devious politician, as we say here, by the old nastiness over the years. Folks, isn't it wonderful how nothing I say attributed to that creature, that old nastiness, can be contested? Nothing. But you see, he knows that he has damaged the gray matter of so many dunce Grenadians that nothing I say could change their mind en masse. So he still comes out lying. He still comes out with venom. He still comes out to see if he can ignite the fire in them. And it's so they're coming out with nonsense. I'm sure you heard about the vector control unit, the alleged vector control unit from St. Andrew having this conversation. And people calling names, you know, they know exactly who's talking, who's saying this, who's saying. It's amazing, such a small country. I am sure these people must be having conniptions now because they're wondering if they'll be canned. I won't can them. I won't can them at all. I will leave them to live with their conscience, especially the one that say, I NNP to the bone. I would love to see a picture of that one. NNP to the bone, because you know they have a look. They have a look. And I'm not talking about a physical look, you know. It's a vibe they come with. It's a phenotype, you know. A phenotype. And they always convince me that because democracy presupposes its participants are intelligent, they should be disqualified from participating in democracy because there's no intelligence in them. They're just sitting ducks waiting to be used by that old nastiness time and time again. Folks, be great and humble. Pride is a diminisher. Humility adds to your greatness. I'm in, I'm out, and I'm gone. Thank you for joining. Continue to share. See you next week at the same time and same place for more extraordinary programming. Until then, stay safe, stay well, remain vigilant and lifted. You can find me on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitter, and YouTube. Just type in my name, Edward or Eddie Frederick. Subscribe, like, and share. Be prepared to receive your mental multivitamins as straight up as I usually deliver them. Take wonderful care of your wonderful selves this week. This is May already, the 5th month of the year. We're going up, 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 up. All the best to you folks. Take great care.
Advice and biting.
Wonderful.
Eddie Frederick has got it all. Inspiration, motivation, great advice, and biting opinion pieces as only Eddie Frederick can deliver. Eddie Frederick has got it all.
This is EDDIE-FICATION, made possible by the efforts of the Center for Democracy and Good Governance, CDGG. The strength of views and opinions expressed during EDDIE-FICATION are not necessarily a reflection or representation of the sponsors and/or affiliates of this program.
I want the best for my family, so every meal has to be perfect. Every bite has to say, There's no doubt in my mind that the best in frozen meats and vegetables has to come from the Country Cold Store. Hams, turkeys, sausages, beef, pork, chicken. I just don't know my family is in safe hands. Thank you, Country Cold Store, for being there for us for the past 40 years.
There are some interesting specials available at Country Cold Store's Mini Mart while stocks last. Take advantage of these specials as they assist you to stretch your limited funds.
The Country Cold Store, providing the best in frozen meats and vegetables since 1969.
If I take time and I write down all the things that I love on my island, best believe my list gon' be like 5 miles long. Best believe it's love that makes me sing this song. The cleanest beers on the waters, friendly people meet in every corner. Togetherness and love is what we stand for. We stand for. Stand for.
Oh, I am in the sun. Look at how we've grown, how far we've run. 50 years we strong and more to come. More to come. More to come. Going higher. 50 years we're blessed with fortune fire. Still reaching for more. Going up, going up, 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 going up, going up, going up, 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 up. Higher. Going higher. As we aspire, build up successful people together. Bang, bang, bang. Slowly up.
Eddie Frederick has got it all. Inspiration, motivation, great advice, and biting opinion pieces as only Eddie Frederick can deliver. Eddie Frederick has got it